YouTube, I'm Kirsty, and in case you missed Monday Night Raw tonight, I got you. Okay, so we actually opened on a match, not a promo. It was Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins versus Andrade and Zelina Vega in an elimination match. Starts with Becky and Zelina, and Becky just slams her repeatedly, will not let her get to the corner to tag. Zelina does a DDT to Becky, who kicks out. And then Zelina, holds Becky down on the ropes. And she lets go, and both ladies tag. Andrade versus Seth, oh my gosh. At first, it's super fast. Just takedown, reversal, counter, everything. Andrade slaps Seth, and Seth answers him with the sling blade. Seth throws him out of the ring, and Becky tags in. So Seth dives at Andrade, but Becky and Zelina are in the ring. Becky does an explode her, followed by a disarm her. Zelina taps out. She's eliminated, but for some reason can still stay at ringside. Lacey Evans then shows up, just behind the barricade in the crowd. So Becky, of course, goes after her, and Seth holds her back. Then there's a commercial. We come back to Seth getting kicked in the head by Andrade. Andrade goes to the top rope. Seth hits him, tries to climb the ropes, but Andrade double foot stomp to the chest while Seth is still on the ropes. Seth's legs were on the ropes, and Andrade just... Then he pins Seth, kick out. Andrade suplexes Seth, tries to do it again, but Seth reverses into the Falcon Arrow, which Andrade kicks out of. Seth then goes to the top rope, but Andrade pushes him off. And while he's on the ground, Zelina takes him down, like the thing, where she jumps but wraps her legs around his neck. I don't know what it's called, but that happens a lot today. So Becky just goes over there and starts hitting her. Seth runs over, and Andrade's right on his heels. So Becky pushes Seth out of the way, and Andrade, kind of runs her over. So Seth checks on her, and Andrade does a double axe handle to Seth's back. Seth kicks, and Zelina jumps on him again, but this time he catches her. And he holds her up so Becky can run and kick her. Seth goes in the ring, does the stomp to Andrade, and wins. As they're leaving, Baron Corbin attacks Seth. And while Seth's laying on the ground, Becky comes and punches Corbin in the face. Then Lacey Evans comes out. Woman's right to Becky. So they're both laying there. Baron and Lacey leave, and Paul Heyman walks out and just kind of looks at them. So we have a lot more intergender wrestling going on, which I don't know. I've heard good and bad things about it on Twitter. Some people are so against it, and some people are so for it. I think it's really interesting because it's something we really haven't seen in a long time. Paul Heyman's little promo is, he says that Brock will be cashing in on Sunday, but he also might be lying. Okay. Then we have a 2 out of 3 falls 6-man tag team. I feel like we've seen these 1,000 times, It's Miz and the Usos versus Elias and the Revival. But as they're walking out, Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon, they meet a garbage man named Tony and ask him to be Roman Reigns' partner tonight. They end up doing this through the whole thing. They ask a concessions worker. We'll get to the last guy later. Okay, so it's Scott versus Jimmy start off in the ring. Jimmy does an arm drag takedown to an arm bar. But then Scott gets a big hit to Jimmy and tags Elias. Elias does slaps, kicks, a clothesline, tag to dash. Meanwhile, Miz is beating Elias into the barricades on ringside. Like, he slams him into this one. Elias tries to run that way. He slams him into that one. So, everyone's more watching this than the actual fight. Elias gets mad and, I'm taking my things and I'm going home because you guys are being mean to me. That's what it felt like when he walked away. Dash does the shatter machine to Jimmy for the first fall. When we come back from commercial, I was actually changing a diaper, so I probably missed a little bit of this. But Scott does the falling headbutt to Jimmy. Jimmy chops him. Scott tags Dash, who kicks Jimmy in the face, then tags Scott again. And Scott's just like grabbing Jimmy, preventing him from tagging anyone in his corner. He does a couple holds on him. But when he tags to Dash, Jimmy has his chance. He goes and tags Jay. Jay just clotheslines everybody. Dash does a secret tag to Scott. So when Jay does the Samoan drop to Dash, Wilder is right there to take down Jay. Jay gets out, tags The Miz, skull-crushing finale for the second fall. Tag to the Usos, who both double kick Dash and Scott. Dash rolls out of the ring and Jay dives on him. So Jimmy takes Scott from the top rope and The Miz and the Usos win. Then we have a promo. Okay, I guess Drake Maverick's wife is named Renee Michelle. I don't know, but she is beautiful. And all I think of when I see him is that time, wasn't it like the Big Show who was about to chokeslam him and he like urinated on himself in the middle of a pay-per-view? Every time like I see her with him, I'm just like, oh honey, he tinkled on national TV. Okay, but they were showing Drake Maverick's honeymoon video where he's like, we're here in Orlando. And she looks at him and she's like, bro, we live in Orlando. What are you doing to me? And then there's a whole bunch of pictures with him holding his 24/7 title. And she's like, can I take a picture with you? You're my husband. So there's one picture where she's standing next to him, but he's holding the title in front of her face. And she keeps saying, this is what I'm dealing with for the rest of my life. Then he says, okay, baby, we're going to New Jersey, which I believe is where Raw was tonight. And then it shows them backstage where Drake is in one of those huge crates and his wife is sitting on the crate next to him. And he apologizes and says, I know I ruined the honeymoon with this title, but I almost said belt. That's not allowed. But you deserve more. I will take you on the honeymoon that you deserve. And she says, if you really do that, we can consummate the marriage. So he's like, yeah! And then, of course, all the 24/7 title wannabe holders start running after him, refs in tow. So he runs away. Rey Mysterio is back. He talked about how the doctors thought it would be a lot longer before he could come back, but he is back. He beat the doctor's prediction, and he wants to issue an open challenge. They could have done so many cool things with this. Bobby Lashley accepts. Mysterio does a DDT, gets Lashley on the ropes for a 619. Rey goes up to the top rope and jumps, but Lashley just catches him, slams him, does a huge spear to Rey Mysterio. Lashley wins. After the bell, Lashley doesn't stop because why would he? He picks up Rey, throws him out of the ring, drags him up the ramp, and starts to throw him through the Titantron, which is what, remember last week, Braun speared Lashley through the Titantron. Okay, well, 3 refs come out, and they're like, no, don't throw him through this, don't throw him through this. So Lashley throws him at the refs. And he says Sunday night he will be the last man standing. That's probably the fight I'm least looking forward to. Even though the Titantron thing was cool. I don't know. I hope they do something cool with it. Because I feel like we've been seeing this forever. Just please no more arm wrestling. Next we have No Way Jose versus Cesaro again, because last week when the 24/7 title people ran through the ring, Cesaro took the opportunity, just decimated No Way Jose. This pretty much happens again. Cesaro uppercuts him and slams him, does a Cesaro swing into a sharpshooter. He taps out, Cesaro wins. Then we have the Street Profits, and they are backstage. All they're doing are promos for Extreme Rules, but the way they do them, like, I just want these guys to narrate, like, everything I ever need to know in my life. I would go back to school if they were my teachers. I would love them to narrate my day and make it sound, like, super exciting. I love those guys. Then we have a backstage thing where Mike Kanellis brings flowers to my spirit animal, Maria Kanellis. Did y'all know she replied to me on Twitter once? Have I mentioned that? Yeah. He's like, I'm so sorry that I lost. Here's some flowers. I'm so happy we're having another baby. I love you so much. And she said, I love ice cream and pickles. And he's like, okay. And she's like, no, ice cream and pickles. And finally he's like, oh, you want me to get them for you? And she's like, uh-huh. Mike Kanellis says, low fat? Oh, honey. Oh, honey, no. So she's like, are you calling me fat? Are you serious right now? So he goes to go get her things. Then they announce that they're going to have a Beat the Clock challenge tonight, where Nikki Cross will be fighting someone and Bayley will be fighting someone. The first fight, which ended up being Bayley, is timed until she wins, if she wins. And then Nikki Cross is going to have to beat her opponent in less time. And the winner gets to pick a stipulation for the Alexa Bliss Bayley SmackDown Women's Champion fight that's happening at Extreme Rules on Sunday. So Nikki keeps saying, oh, I really want to do this for Alexa. She's such a good friend. She's so sweet. And Bayley says, like, don't you get it? She's using you to fight to get this stipulation. Then they announce the challengers. Bayley will be fighting Sarah Logan. We have a Riot Squad member. And Nikki will be fighting Dana Brooke. All right. There's another June bug. Sorry. This might get real weird in a minute. Then Carmella and Truth are looking for Drake backstage, and our Truth is saying, oh, I miss my baby, I need to feed my baby. And I hope he's not showing her scary movies because my baby gets nightmares. And at this moment, Drake and the 24/7 Chasers, that's just what I'm going to call them, they run past. So Truth picks up Mella on his back and runs the opposite way. Next we have Viking Raiders versus a local tag team. I didn't quite catch their name. I guess they're brothers, so what is this? Everyone say it with me. Squash match. The squash is so bad that the Viking Raiders keep picking up the other tag team's shoulders when they pin them so that they can beat them up more. It was ridiculous. Then Drake and the 24/7 Chasers run through. The Viking Raiders slam who they can catch. Next, we have Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. And I think they all talked in the ring, like, before the match started. But, again, like, I'm on mommy duty, so I miss stuff a lot. But, okay, so when I tuned in, Ricochet was coming in with quick punches. Gallows choke slammed him. Ricochet kicks out. Gallows delivers body shots in the turnbuckle to Ricochet. So Ricochet hits the ropes, runs at him, but Gallows gives him a boots to face. Gallows then headbutts Ricochet. What do you guys think about the headbutts? Like, I don't know. Everyone on Twitter kind of freaks out, like, CTE, you know? And I get that, but are they really headbutting? I don't know. I have no opinion. I have not been a part of one, so I can't say. Anyway, Gallows stomps Ricochet, slaps Ricochet, clothesline of Ricochet, picks him up. Ricochet reverses and rolls him up for 3. Ricochet wins. Then AJ gets on and says, "You said you could run through all 3 of us, so how about fighting Carl Anderson right now?" Ricochet accepts. Carl puts Ricochet in a hold, but Ricochet punches him and does the things Zelina Vega did earlier, where she goes upside down and puts her legs around, and yeah. Ricochet does that. Anderson does a spine buster, but Ricochet kicks out at 2. Anderson uppercuts, and Ricochet kicks him in the face, runs to the rope. This is when AJ, of course, interferes, grabs his leg. So Ricochet flies over the ring to Styles, then climbs up the post of the turnbuckle, backflip onto Styles. Then gets back in the ring, does a 630, and beats Anderson. So AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson all beat Ricochet up after the bell. Again, Anderson and Gallows do the Magic Killer. AJ starts to do what he did last week, where he was on the top rope and Gallows and Anderson hand Ricochet to him, and he does the Styles Clash off the top rope. He starts to do that and then just kind of lets Ricochet fall and says, "No, I'm not going to do this. Save some of your energy for fighting me on Sunday. Just stay down and we'll leave you alone. Just stay down." Ricochet stands back up, so he gets the phenomenal forearm. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, backstage, Drake's wife is still sitting on the crate, and Drake runs by and she's like, "Where have you been?" And he says, "I did it. I'm still the 24/7 champ." And she's like, "All right, can we go now?" Just then, the crate next to him, R-Truth pops out with a referee and says, "Hornswoggle, that's my baby." But Drake and his wife run away, so R-Truth picks up the ref on his back and chases them. Now Shane and Drew are talking to a custodian named Gary and says, "For $5,000, will you be Roman Reigns' tag team partner tonight?" Gary accepts. This is still going on, guys. This Shane and Drew versus Roman Reigns thing. Okay, now we have the Beat the Clock match with Bayley versus Sarah Logan. There's a quick cover by Bayley, kick out by Sarah. Bayley does a press, and then Logan does a headbutt and a sliding kick, so Bayley's outside of the ring. She comes back, Logan takes her down, covers her, Bayley kicks out. Logan kicks her to back, Bayley fights back until Logan drop kicks. Another cover, another kick out. Logan's holding Bayley, but she gets to the ropes. So Sarah Logan kicks her back. As Sarah's running at her, Bayley moves out of the way, then punches her, gives her a knee. Bayley gives her a sunset bomb into the turnbuckle, covers for 3. Okay, the time on this is 4 minutes and 32 seconds. So right away, it's Nikki Cross versus Dana Brooke, and of course, 4 minutes, 32 seconds is the time Nikki has to win to get the stipulation. I feel like the bug's near me. When the bell rings, Dana immediately rolls out of the ring. She walks around to Bayley, who's sitting there, gives her a hug. When she finally gets back in, because she's just letting the time dwindle down, she comes back in and just throws Nikki out of the ring. Nikki punches Dana's head repeatedly. She kicks her to the midsection, picks her up. Dana goes back down. And she climbs back up. She climbs all the way to the top rope. She does a flip off there. No, Nikki. Nikki moves. Then Nikki does a neck breaker, and Nikki beat the clock. So Nikki gets the microphone and says, "Bayley doesn't know what friendship is. The stipulation is now. It's a 2-on-1 handicap match on Sunday. It's going to be Nikki and Alexa versus Bayley. Nikki says Bailey needs a friend to slap some sense into her, so Bailey slaps her, does a Bailey to belly, and an elbow drop. We go back to the Kanellises. Mike Kanellis brings her pickles and ice cream, and Maria says, I don't know, they start going at it, and Maria's like, I don't even know if you're the father. Somebody call Maury. This is getting real. But that's the end. Like, we just don't know if he's a father. So, I hope if they're not on SmackDown Live tomorrow night, they better resolve this on 205. Seriously. Corey Graves interviews Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch and asks, if one of you loses both belts, what's going to happen to the relationship? And Becky calls him a dope and says he has an emo head and says, it doesn't matter, we're going to win. So now we're at the main event. Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns and Gary Garbutt, who comes out in a mask. He's the custodian from earlier. Reigns does a Samoa drop to Drew, Superman punch. No, the Superman punch was dodged. Drew kicks him, throws Reigns into the turnbuckle hard. And then Drew goes over to the ring, and they had told Gary, you're not going to have to fight. You're just going to get the $5,000 to stand there in a mask. He pulls Gary in the ring. This is where it gets interesting. Gary takes a couple punches and then, does the thing where you do a handspring, hit the rope and handspring back, and he's just taking them out. He's doing dives, a huge crossbody. He's killing it until Drew's boot gets in his face. Shane is the one who covers him for 3. And so Drew and Shane win. But Roman Reigns gets back up, punches Drew. Shane and Drew are leaving. As they're leaving, Roman Reigns takes off the mask from Custodian Gary. It was Cedric Alexander the whole time. Super talented. I'm glad, even though he was in a mask and even though it's, a match we've seen a million times, it was really cool to be able to see him do something other than go for, the 24/7 title, which I still love the 24/7 title. Oh, and his tongue was bleeding. Anyway, so that was what happened tonight on Raw. Hopefully I will be with you tomorrow night for SmackDown Live. That's my plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. If you're looking for a podcast, my friend Oz Banks and I do one called Beyond Serious. It's on whatever the new iTunes is, or you can go to BeyondSerious.com. It's not safe for work. There's a lot of bad words. You can follow me on Twitter at always_KIRSTIE. I live tweet things. Sometimes I'm funny. And thank you to all my subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. And if I don't know you too much, feel free to subscribe to me. Thank you. And as Joel McHale used to say, I watch it so you don't have to. Bye.